Hello everyone, today I am doing a quick tutorial on how to do bivariate data analysis on Excel. Okay, so I've set up this question here. It is from the QCAA sample IA2 and it's question 10. Okay, so the example is 12 people of different ages ran around an athletics track for 30 minutes, and the number of complete laps they ran was recorded, and the results are shown below. Okay, so just a few tips on formatting. Okay, so there's a few things I've done here. To make my headings look nice, as you can see, I've bolded them, and I've also made sure that they are centered both vertically and horizontally. Okay, I also, to get the heading here to look like this, I have used wrap text in this button here. Okay, so if you want them to look centered and lovely like that, those are some of the things I did before I started recording. Okay, I also made sure there was a pretty border around everything. You can do that by right hand clicking format cells and going into border and sort of hitting these options here. You can always make your outline thicker than the inside. There's lots of different things you can do there. Okay. Obviously, I'm using a PC, but usually the Mac options are fairly similar. You'll just have to do a little bit of hunting to find out. Okay, so I'm going to start with step 1, which is to construct a scatter plot. Okay, so I am going to highlight my data, and I'm going to go to the Insert tab and hit Scatterplot. Okay. First option here is the one we want. Okay. And this is what Excel has defaulted it to. Okay. So we will have to do some adjustments, but the first thing we will check is that the explanatory variable is on the x-axis and the response variable is on the y-axis. Okay. So, looking at my example here, I've got to think which of these variables is explanatory, which is response. Now, it's more likely that age is explaining the number of laps that people complete and not the other way around. It wouldn't make much sense if the number of laps that you can complete determines your physical age. It might give you an estimate of your fitness age, but not your physical age. Okay, so we can definitely see here that age should be the explanatory variable. Okay, and we can see by the looks of it, it has put age on the x-axis. Okay, so that's good. If that's not the case, you can fix that. Okay, so if you go up into chart design after clicking on the chart, there are some things you can do in these options. You can just switch them around if you need to, but also if things aren't working out, if you click on select data, you can change some of the variables, make sure that your horizontal is working out, because occasionally Excel will have trouble detecting which one you want to be the horizontal axis, so it will just plot both against just a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like sort of each data point like that. So if you need to fix that, the options are in here. Okay, but this has done it nicely. Okay, it might be that you might need to just swap the row and column. Usually the top row is the explanatory variable and the bottom row is the response variable. That's sort of just convention. Now this should also work for a vertical table, but once again, just check that you've got that Excel has done it the right way. Okay, so let's make sure that we've got axes labels. I don't need a key because there's only one thing on here, but make sure I've got axes labels. I just did that in quick layout. I clicked the first one and then I deleted the legend. You can also do it through these ways, making sure you've got a primary horizontal and a primary vertical axes title. Okay, but that's just the quickest way to do it, I find. So I'm going to edit this to make sure that they are labeled. Okay, important to communicate clearly. There we have it. Number of complete laps versus age of participants, something like that. Okay, so you should have a descriptive title. Okay, so there's a few things we want to start adding to this now. So there's our original scatter plot. As we know, we need to fit a least squares regression line. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this part here, add chart element, and I'm going to choose a trend line. Now, because we are doing linear regression, we need to choose linear. So we shall click on that one. Okay. If you click on this line here, double click on it, you get more options, because one of the things you will want to do is to display the equation and display the coefficient of determination. Now I usually like to pop that up there so it's a bit more visible. Okay, so now we have our least squares line, our least squares equation, and we've also got our coefficient of determination. Okay, if you need to extrapolate at all in your scatter plot for whatever reason, you can do that in the same place. You can forecast forward however much you need to forecast forward. Okay, so if your assignment or for some reason calls upon you to extrapolate, that's where you can do it. Okay, what else do we need? We will need a correlation coefficient. So let's do that now. So I'm just going to put R there. Okay, and my formula starts with an equals, and I start typing the word correlation, and you can see it's suggested this formula here, which is what you want. Array number 1 is your explanatory variable, and array number 2 is your response variable. There you have it. So our correlation coefficient is negative 0.91, and look, we probably don't need this many decimal places, so you can just make that 2 decimal places if you want. We can also verify our coefficient of determination and do R, where's the button, squared, and that would be this formula here to the power of 2. And you can see that there. Once again, we definitely do not need this many place values. Okay. I do not want that to be that big again. Lovely. Okay. So, what else do we need? We will need a residual plot. Okay. So, to make a residual plot, we need this table to be vertical, not horizontal. And a lot of the time the data comes in this horizontal format because it tends to be a better fit on your page like that, because it goes across the page rather than down the page. So you will often find them horizontally arranged like this. So if that's the case, we need to make it vertical. So you're probably thinking, oh no, am I going to have to retype everything? Well, no, there is a way to fix that. So highlight your data and copy it. And then I'm just going to go over to a different tab. Go up to the top left-hand corner here, right-hand click, and when you go to paste, there's this option here that says transpose. And as you can see, it's turned my table around for me, which is very helpful of it. Okay, so you will need it to look like that in order to do the residual plot analysis. Okay, the other thing you'll need is you actually might have to download the analysis ToolPak. It might not already be installed on your computer, okay? So if that's the case, here's the link to it. I'll put it in the description below. So you will need to get that installed first, okay? Once you do have it installed, you will find it up here in the Data tab, okay? And here it is, Data Analysis. So click on that, and we want the regression analysis. It has a whole bunch of tests you can do on there, but we want regression. Okay. All right, so now we just need to make sure that things are all in the right place, and you can see this is bringing up a previous example I was working on. Okay, so the first thing you need to make sure is that this is the y range, okay? The y being the y-axis or the response variable, okay? So make sure that this is picking up your response variable, which we established was the number of complete laps, okay? You don't want this the wrong way around, okay? And of course, this will be the x-axis, our explanatory variable, so let's pop that in there. Now, I like to, we can put it in the same sheet by clicking where we want it to put the output, but you could also put it in a new worksheet or a new workbook if you wanted to. So I've selected that spot for it to put what it's come up with, okay? Now, I always include residuals because it can show you the individual dot points calculated if you need to. And I always tick the residual plot, of course. Okay, very important. So once you've got all those, you can hit OK. And as you can see, it's put the output where I said to. Okay, so here are the important things. You can see our residuals are down here. So there are the individual residuals calculated. Okay, and here is our residual plot. Okay, so we need to do a few bits and pieces here. So I always like to what we call square it up. Okay, I turn it into a square because it just makes it a little bit easier to interpret. Okay, I'm just going to change that to just residual plot, and I'm going to change that to what our x variable was. And our x variable was, of course, age in years. Okay, and we'll leave that as residuals. Okay, now you can adjust the axes if you need to. So if your dots aren't nicely placed like this, or you want them to be within a certain range, you can double click on that axis. There we go. And if you go over here, you've got axes options where you can essentially change where you want the max and the min to go and what units you want it to go up by. Okay, so you can really adjust a lot of things to make it look exactly the way you want. Okay, and so there is our residual plot. Okay, and I believe that is everything you need to do on Excel for your bivariate data analysis. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I will be checking to answer those questions. And yeah, just good luck with whatever you are trying to analyze.